And 2 Rams. No army still out for Villese. Villese has played this a little too greedy, maybe. Getting his monastery up now. If that's not nearly going to be enough. Tons of villagers going down. Here comes the castle. This could be the game. This could be the play that changes the game. Hello, everyone, and welcome to game number 4 in this best of 5 series. This is the Nomad Battlegrounds tournament. It's a best of 5 tournament for $1,500 total prize pool. We have Villese and TheMax versus Tim and CL. Score now is 2-1, as you can see above. And players will be shortly placing down their town centers. I believe both teams have used their restarts. My name is Nobody, and I'm joined here by Demeyes Red.
Well, hello there, everyone. So let's start to introduce the players over here. So there is Villese in orange with the Incas, looking for a good place to place his town center. There he goes on the south-hand side of the bottom-hand side of the map here. And we also got his teammates in teal here, TheMax with the melee on the south again.
And for the opposing team, we have Tim placing his town center in the top right as gray, as the Mongols, and his ally, CL, right next to each other, placing his town center as the Incas. These civilizations were chosen from a pool of pretty strong civilizations. We have a difference here in that we have Malay and Mongols. And what do you think about these town center positions so far?
Well, if we look at this closely, we can point out that TheMax and Villese are really close to each other. That can be an advantage, of course, because it's always better to have your teammate close rather than your enemy. And if we look at the others, yeah, the same goes for Tim and CL. It's really close. I mean, if we look at Tim and CL, it's a bit too close in my opinion. But, I mean, too close as in, you know, space-wise. Other than that, it's really easy for them to protect each other still. And if we look at the resources, starting with TheMax, quite good positioning there. He has some good wood, good gold especially. Food-wise, looks fine. Some deer, some sheep. No boar, unfortunately, again. And if we look at Villese, it's the quite opposite. So he has some wood, but he has the boars. And as Incas, he has the additional llama over there. Some stone and some golds, not too close to his TC, but still there. So I'm fine with that. What about the others?
We have Tim over on the right, tons of deer for days, and also right next to him, CL, also tons of food, stone, wood, gold over in the bottom, a little bit farther away, but there's a nice gold here for Tim. Might be rangeable by galleys later on, so gold might be a little bit of a problem for this team. Certainly, looking at the mini-map, there's tons more gold towards the left side of the map than the right side of the map, so a little bit unlucky in the spawn position that way.
True indeed.
And I haven't seen really a Nomad map like this. Oftentimes, you see 2 players next to each other and the other team too far away. This time we have both teams next to each other. It almost looks like a random map script, as if it could have been generated this way. So I'm kind of interested to see how these town center positions change the play styles of each player.
Exactly.
And we can talk one more time about the Civ matchup. So Villese and CL playing as the Incas. Both these players are towards the top side of the map, and then the other side we have Malay and Mongols. How do you think these civilizations will play it with these maps?
Good question indeed. I see the Mongols being the one part that goes for some early aggression, probably. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong. And the Incas more of a late game type of style. Interesting enough, the Incas, they have some very special, unique text to themselves. I mean, not unique text, but some Civ specialties. The villages are really interesting, they're quite strong. But if we look at this matchup, I see the Mongols being the early aggression part, and the Incas as the late aggression part. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, in a way, the early game of the Mongols and the Malay play very similar because both civilizations are able to get up to the feudal age quite quickly. There's, of course, a little bit of variation later on in the game with the unique units, though. But really, they kind of play a little bit similar in this situation. Wouldn't be surprised to see those 2 players go heavy onto the water. And I'm a little curious to see if maybe the Meso Civs decide to go fast castle. Of course, they won't have the strong knight unit. Maybe we could see Eagles, or maybe we see more of a feudal play from them. I'm really not too sure.
Yeah, True indeed. And I just want to point out that when I described Max TC, I said that there's no boar, and Villese was so generous and said, hey, you can take my boar because I got plenty of boars over some other place, so you can just take one of mine, and he did that. He actually lured a boar right from Villese TC to his own TC.
Yeah, that was that's very good team play from these players. One thing to point out, Villese did pick a pond to fish at. One player in the chat saying not a great idea, but I disagree a little. But there's a lot of fish into this pond. These fishing ships will of course be safe. So there are some good sides and the downside. The good side is that Villese will have some great fishing ships and working throughout the feudal age. Might want to make some fish traps later on, which is not great, and of course won't have a dock to support with galley wars. So we'll have to see if the Finnish team is able to maintain water control in the big lake, or if they're able to pick off the opponent's fish.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the dock on the ponds, always a tricky thing. Would have been nice if it was the Malay player doing this. But
oh
so
yeah,
far
definitely.
Yeah, that would be fine, right? With the
with the Malay player? Maybe the Malay player just wants to go up there in the Imperial Age and start fishing from it. You know, that's very valuable.
Yeah, true.
We saw when the Viper played his semi-final match. I scrolled over to his point of view. He was, of course, making full use of the Malay fish traps, maybe 3 docks surrounded by fish. I scroll over to his point of view. He's got like 100 karambits. 30 minutes into Imperial Age, maybe 40, 45 minutes, and he's got like 5k food banked up, and it was ridiculous.
Damn.
There's might need to be if you're a person that deals with balance in the community, might want to think about that infinite fish traps. Infinity's a pretty big it's a pretty big amount.
Yeah. That's true indeed. Lodzak asking, but does he know it's only a pond? He does. I mean, he found out eventually. I'm not sure if he knew it initially, but Villese at the moment, he's aware of the fact that this is just a pond.
Oh yeah, those fishing ships have scouted everything that there is to scout in that little pond there. And players using their flares to better understand where their opponents are. Players now advancing to the next age. We have TheMax, the first player into the next age, and Tim also into the next age as well. So, not surprisingly, those two civilizations quick up. And we should see some fire galleys coming out. Again, fish, very important on Nomad. Big part of your economy, so you really want to keep those fish alive, and you want to get those galleys out nice and fast.
Exactly.
And now, all the players into Feudal Age, and we saw no fast castles this game, probably due to the maybe their mesosieves and the importance of water. But that's definitely a bit of a departure from the previous games.
That's true, but why would you say that it's partly because of mesosieves?
Because they don't have they can't fast castle knights. I don't think fast castle eagles is quite as strong.
You don't think so? Okay.
No,
I mean,
create too slow.
Right. I mean,
don't pack as much a punch.
True.
And a little bit of scout rating from Tim. Tim, this is the second time this series he's gone for quick scouts and been quite effective with it.
Yeah.
Did he make any galleys out? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, he did. Nope, did he? Where's the dock for Tim?
Looking as well.
It's hard to see on this map.
It's in the north. It's in the north. Yeah, it's in the north. On the right-hand side of the pond over there. There's a dock.
I'll take your word for it. He's only got 1 fish, though. 0 fish now for the Chinese team. 10 fish for Villese. Most of it's in that pond, but some of it's also on the left side. So Villese, the only player left with that, but that's a huge boost to his economy. And luckily, to even it up a little bit, Tim is going to do some good damage there with his scouts. Market up for Villese. I would not be surprised at all. There we go. Villese going to Castle Age with all that additional fish. This is what fish can do for you.
All right.
I'm going to be trying to be as annoying as possible. We now have some spearmen coming out from Villese. If Villese wants, could even get the armor upgrade on the spearmen, and it'll work for his villagers too. And yeah, let's see. It looks like probably Villese will go with some eagles early on, maybe some more spearmen, and should have a big impact on this game. early lead
Exactly.
for the Finnish team.
That's for sure. I mean, Eagles, in my opinion, Eagles are quite interesting, quite a strong infantry unit because they're quite mobile, as we all know, and they're really tanky when they are facing arrow fire, especially in the Castle Age. They seem to be even tanky. I mean, you can go beneath TCs without major losses there, and that's something many people underestimate, in my opinion, that the Eagles are so tanky actually concerning arrow fire.
Towers coming up from Tim, and another counter tower coming up from Villese. Looks like he'll get this one up, but this is going to push Tim away from his wood line. I have to say, I think Tim's done a pretty good job. He's done the best job he could, despite not having the fish, of doing some damage against Villese. Villese will, against everything else, be up to the next age and still have a bank of food because, of course, of those fish. Is he taking gold somewhere, though? I don't... Yeah, he's taking a little bit in the south, but only 4 villages. 4 villages is not enough to really make a decent amount of eagles. So these scouts have been extremely effective so far in keeping this game nice and even for the Chinese team.
That's true. And he is aware of this. Villese is aware of this situation, and what he does is placing another TC at a good position, in my opinion, on the left-hand side of his base in order to get more gold and secure that gold spot as well. And he's indeed going for eagles. And you were right about the 4 villages in the gold. That was not enough at all, but enough to get to FC. And from that now, combined with the fact that he builds up his TC there, he should be able to pump out some eagles soon.
We have a bit of balanced discussion in the chat when I was talking about the Malay fish, and of course I'm not going to hesitate to not join in a balanced discussion as we see these scouts take out some more villages on the chat. I think the problem is actually with the GillNet's technology. It's too expensive at the very beginning. It gives you too much bang for your buck later on. I think the problem is with the GillNet's technology should be nerfed in the effectiveness of it. But getting back into the game, picking up another villager of the max, scouts getting so much value, but still neither of the Chinese players up to the next age quite yet. And Villese is on 2 town centers and going to have a little bit of an economy lead here. He's only on 29 villages now, but it should shoot up relatively shortly.
That's true. It should be fine very, very soon. And the scouts of Tim still trying to harass the Max as much as possible, but Max did well by securing his base smartly. If you look at it, the positioning of the palisades are quite well chosen. Therefore, yeah, Tim is not able to do any damage for now.
A lot of walls from CL, which, you know, considering the way this tournament has gone, I'm not very surprised. But this is a little bit of a misplay, in my opinion, for the Chinese team. Tim has tons of scouting information, can see that Villese is not playing aggressive right now. I don't think it's worth it for CL to wall up when your opponent's not going to do any sort of aggression.
That's true. Maybe that's really a misplay. He just wants to play it safe. He wants to go for a boom, as we can see. No, he doesn't. Let me see. Why does he wall it up like that? I'm not even sure what he wants to do with all of that space. He just wants to secure the resources first of all, maybe? I know where he wants to go from that.
Well, the wall keeps him safe from raids, I guess, later on if the Megano will come in. It also gives him a lot of space if he wants to add town centers and farms. One problem, though, this is a fairly big problem for the Chinese team. As we said, there's not any gold in there, and not a hell of a lot of stone either. Most of the gold and stone, they will be in the middle of the map for the Chinese team, and they will have to contest that.
They will have to contest it for sure. You're right. The positioning of the golds, they're all in the middle. That's the crucial part of the map here, and that's where the crucial fights will take place if it goes that far, I guess. Therefore, let's see, man. Let's see.
Villese learning from his teammate, TheMax, and building transport of his own, not being able to be as successful as his teammate TheMax, though, as the transport ship gets sunk in that little pond. It's pretty funny. I wonder if they're going to continue to add fire ships here as they fight over this tiny pond with no fish in it.
Yeah, who knows. But Tim has managed to do some smart harassment over there in Villese base. That's well done, actually. He still has his scouts up there. They're not dead yet. And that was well done by him.
With the water control, Max is going to upgrade into War Galley. Make sure to keep his water control there. And they have a total of 11 fishing ships on the water. and that'll certainly help their economies. Overall, the economies of the Finnish team doing way better, especially with this boom from Villese. You know, the problem is if Tim and CL want to boom themselves, they will be behind in the boom, and also they might be forfeiting map control of these critical resources. So I think with all these scouts, with all these Knights of Tim, I think this is time for YOLO, you know, full aggression play.
Yeah, it would be adequate. And we can see CL is going to the front now. He wants to do some, commit into some... No, he's placing a house. I thought that would be something...
Gonna place a castle, maybe even 2.
Oh.
And 2 rams. No army still out for Villese. Villese has played this a little too greedy, maybe. Getting his monastery up now. If that's not nearly going to be enough. Tons of villagers going down. Here comes the castle. This could be the game. This could be the play that changes the game.
Oh, wow.
Monk going down too. And unfortunately, a lot of knights going down to the spearmen. Will Tim and CL have enough army to get this castle down? Looks like they might, as the knights are still doing a lot of raiding as well.
Wow.
Wow, what a play to change the game. Ram's gonna take out the monastery too, I think. And this castle should come down. Gonna do a ton of damage. Now, Villese is down to 52 villagers. He's been booming for the last few minutes, remember. And he's only up to 54 villagers now. Not a hell of a lot higher than the other players. And he's going to lose a lot of farming space from this castle, too. So, in this one play, able to take back the game by quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true indeed. I'm also not happy with the positioning of the castle of Villese. I mean, he did that in order to secure the back part of his base. And also to be able to pump out some Kameyuks now. Which is good, of course. Kameyuks always a decent choice as Incas. Especially if the enemy goes for cavalry. But all in all, yeah, that was a good move by Tim and CL. And I guess Villese is gonna pay for that dearly. Really heavily.
Imperial Age coming from CL, I just have to say this trebuchet is going to be absolutely devastating. There are no units to kill a trebuchet with the castle here, and this trebuchet with the 16 range will be able to take down 2 town centers, castle, tons of farms, tons of buildings. Meanwhile, TheMax did get his successful transport out and is now raiding with Malay battle elephants. They will be extremely effective here until Tim gets a monk out anyway. But a good raid from TheMax, adding more stables here. Unfortunately, monks might be a very good counter here too, though, so I don't expect this raid to go too far. TheMax will get some great villager kills, though, here as Tim goes down to 38 vills.
You're absolutely right. This raid is not meant to fully destroy Tim right now, because we have to keep in mind that these elephants are Malay elephants, so they're quite cheap, but also they are not the strongest. And right now we see that the monk is out there. They have an early momentum because they're so cheap. And this is what he did, using this momentum to get some villagers. Well done.
That was an excellent raid. That was at least 10 villagers down to those battle elephants. Malay battle elephants, please don't underestimate them. They're very, very strong, costing just barely more than a knight. And considering what you get, gonna pick off even more villagers. This could be another 5 villagers down if Tim is not paying any attention at all. Watchtower coming in for TheMax. This raid is so huge for him. Gonna get 1 conversion, luckily, but this is such a big raid for him. Two trebuchets coming out for CL, and again, they'll be able to do so much damage here. We have like nothing to stop this trebuchet, nothing to stop this castle. Villese is, you know, he might be dying pretty shortly. He's got a lot of villagers, but he's gonna lose a lot of infrastructure to these trebuchets. Certainly not anywhere up near getting up to the next age. And, you know, hopefully his ally Tim will be able to stop these raids.
I mean, he managed to get some conversions over there, therefore he's able to push back now. Still, the damage has been dealt to him, you know, heavily. He lost so many villas there. And he will eventually get rid of the whole raiding thing, but he's been so damaged. I'm not sure if they will succeed there.
Well, the question here is, what do you want? Do you want map control? Do you want to take out your opponent's infrastructure, which the Chinese team is doing? Or do you want raw villager numbers, which the Finnish team has? By far. These are huge discrepancies as far as the assets that these players have. Which position do you prefer in this game right now?
It's tricky because CL is getting really strong there with this trebuchets. I say that actually the Max is again shining with this economy there, therefore his villages, the villager number is really important in this case. At the same time, the problem is that yeah, Villese will not be able to fight off CL anytime soon, and therefore it seems that the Chinese players are in a good position here.
So the Max and Tim both getting coinage. I assume they'll both be starting to sling. So we're down essentially to a 1 versus 1 between CL and Villese. Do you agree with this decision to sling?
Decision to sling? Well, slinging always helps, but I'm not sure if... Really not sure, man. I'm really not sure. Because at the moment, I said it's 1v1 at the moment, but at the same time Tim is trying to push back with his converted units there. He has a decent amount of battle elephants there going into the base of the Max now. While Villese is building up a little TC over there. That's interesting. So really, I'm telling you, it's more like CL and Tim actually winning important fights here.
A little bit of a misclick. I think Villese wanted to pick ballistics and was instead researching heavy heated shy. I think he just canceled it. But interestingly, Villese with Sling is going into slingers. Oh, well, wow. And not into the Eagle Warrior, which I would have expected. He's got tons of resources. You need to be able to spend this as a slinger. And yeah, so I mean, the Max's Sling should be much more effective than Tim's Sling. We'll have to see. It depends on these army compositions. CL has cleaned up all of the base of Villese, so it just needs to push in a little bit further. Do you think these slingers are going to be effective?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. To be honest, I think... I mean, they're to be seen as hand cannoneers, right?
Basically.
And they will be able to kill those Kamyuks. At the same time, the armor composition is not solely consisting of Kamyuks, right? There are, first of all, of course, there are trebuchets, there are also mangonels, and those monks. So
I don't know. I think we might see. I think these slingers might be more effective than CL gives them credit for. Okay. Should be okay against monks, trebuchets, and I don't see a whole hell of a lot of counter for slingers in the Inca army composition. The best thing I would think of is maybe Arbalest or Onager, and neither we see are from CL.
I mean, okay, we can see it now. CL is going back. He's retreating. He doesn't want to lose any more units over there. So probably they're more effective than I thought.
Yeah, so CL's going to have to go back. Remember, CL needs to do some good damage here. There's a big discrepancy in the villager numbers here. Needs to definitely keep up this castle. He's going to bring his trebuchets over. Luckily, the trebuchets should be safe, as long as they're next to that castle. And should win this treb battle and keep pushing in. Maybe CL doesn't even need a regular army. His castles are so cheap. There's so little room to work on this map that pushing in with castles might be effective in itself. But CL not able to get that next castle up due to the map presence.
Exactly.
And now Villese taking into lead Eagle Warrior. If you could get this transition underway with siege rams, this might be the end of the game for CL and the end of the series for them, and the end of the tournament for them. So that's not going to be good for them. So CL needs to come up with some sort of counter to this army composition. It's going to be Slinger and Eagle Warrior and siege ram.
Interesting composition indeed.
Yeah. And I say that as if there is a counter to that. The best counter to that is probably making that on your own, but the problem is that you're behind and also your economy is not as strong as the other players. All that said, that has flipped a little bit as Villese has lost a lot of villagers, and now the villager numbers are much more even. They're almost exactly even now.
Yeah.
But for CL to take this back with the disadvantaged army, he's going to have to take some very smart fights. And maybe do some good raiding too.
Now let's also see what Tim is actually about to do. He placed a castle on the right hand side of Mac's base. He's attempting to go further even more by placing towers. But I'm not sure if this is gonna be decisive here in this matchup.
Yeah, the script has flipped a little bit. The villager numbers are now pretty even. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chinese team gaining an advantage here. The military advantage is for the Finnish team, and they have the momentum right now. However, they need to keep it because they are running out of space.
That's true. The space thing is really important because they get surrounded really easily at the moment. And there are also knights on the left-hand side, but they got just eliminated over there. So they're able to expand their territory now to the left-hand side. Villese and Max.
Yeah, and they absolutely need to, not only for space, for farms, for buildings, but also for the extra golds and stones, which are all on that left side of the map as well. TheMax trying to go up with a tower here, and Villese actually going to deny this castle from Tim. That's a pretty big blow. These knights may be able to stop it, but we have more towers coming up. So this is going to be a pretty close castle. Make sure you're using push to talk if you're talking Demi's Red.
Oh no, I'm just I was just looking at how all of this is evolving at the moment.
So castle coming up from Tim. Luckily was able to get that up. That's pretty big for him. But they're losing ground towards the middle of the map, losing a lot of buildings. I don't know if they're going to have the momentum to push this back. We're going to see one big fight with Eagle Warriors. They certainly could probably get a good engagement on these Slingers, as a lot of the Eagle Warriors are all over the place for Villese. And now might be the time to start picking off some of the army little by little with these Eagle Warriors for CL.
Exactly. Just looking at what CL is actually up to do. He's trying to secure his, their part of the map. He's placing a castle in the middle of the map, to be honest. And he's getting out his own eagles as well. So we can expect some raiding from both sides taking place very soon.
This game is so delicate. It could go either way depending on one fight. Eagle Warriors going to pick off the Trebuchets. Will there be any Eagle Warriors left to escape, though, with all those Slingers attacking? Trebuchet's going to go down. CL needs to keep his army numbers up, as well as keep that castle alive. And we have a siege ram coming in as well. That siege ram might be the end of that castle.
Oh yeah, it will happen.
Yeah, and CL going to lose all of his Eagle Warriors into Villese's base.
But he gets up his courier's tech.
Yeah, importantly got up the courier's tech, and that's a big advantage right now. That is +2 pierce armor, +1 melee armor. That's pretty decent. Over in the north, Tim does have a good control of the north side of the map. Over in the north, there is an extra stone. There's notably an extra gold mine. So they should be okay for gold right now. I know they still don't have a ton from looking at the map earlier, and I don't see them mining a ton.
Yeah.
But they'll be okay for gold. Both teams really hurting for gold because all the resources are being contested. They're all being raided. Certainly Tim doing a lot with his Castle Age Knights. And that might be the difference in this game.
I like what Tim actually did there. He placed 2 castles on the left-hand side in order to prevent Villese and Max expanding to the left-hand side even more to get control of the resources there. So it's actually well done by Tim. And
another castle from Tim right on top of the stone. He does not want to lose control of that stone. Maybe that's the castle that decides the game if they're able to hold all other positions, because there's 2 golds there and a big stone. I see the bigger army for Villese and the Max, but it's hard to tell because of the resource difference. There's a little bit of gold in the Max's base, but that might go away. Really hard to tell. Villese and the Max might be running out of resources.
But most importantly, what you see on the right-hand side is that Villese is actually attempting to enter Tim's base. So Tim is actually losing a lot at the same time, one could think, but at the same time he has his second base on the left-hand side as well. Therefore, he will survive this one, but still the eagles are inside his base on the right-hand side. The base is infested, so to speak.
Yeah, all the castles and all the villagers and all the military on the left side does nothing for defending the right side, so that's a weakness in his base. Tim going to drop down to 90 villagers now. Certainly a very close match. This is probably, I think, the most entertaining. Well, all of these games have been very entertaining, but this game is very entertaining in that I can't really tell who's winning, who's losing, who will win. And over in the middle of the map, we see CL taking a very good engagement against Villese's Eagle Warriors. Meanwhile, raiding still going on a little bit in Villese's base. Looks like it's been cleaned up mostly. Villager number now. Let's look at population. It's probably a better stat.
Yeah.
170, 110, 120. Sorry, 130, 130. So just about even. Are they going to be able to stop this Eagle raid coming in from CL though? It looks like this is going to be a close one. If Villese is not able to stop this Eagle raid will be absolutely devastating. Remember, it's a little bit different here. When the Finnish team raids the Chinese team has villagers everywhere. When the Finnish team raids, they just don't. Their Eagle Warriors can be efficient and just kill all the villagers everywhere. I see tons of idle villagers where the gold mine used to be. For the Finnish team, this final fight on top of this hill could be the one that ends the game.
Yeah, also important to note is that TL sold all of his stone, gained some gold by that, and Tim did the same and gave all of his gold to CL, therefore he will have a lot of eagles to pump out, and this will be really crucial, I guess. This one is nearly impossible to stop now, because the eagles from CL are just coming and coming, they're not stopping to be produced.
Yeah, Age of Empires is really a game about resource management, and things like that can win you or lose you the game. There's obvious advantages and disadvantages to selling your stone and using it for gold for Eagle Warriors right now, as opposed to castles. Right now, still no answer to the Slingers. I see them doing quite a bit of work, being basically untouched by the Eagles, and we'll see if these Eagles are eventually going to be able to pick off these Slingers. No, it looks like CL's going to go back for now. Maybe aim for the trebuchet. We'll see. And going to go for the trebuchet now. Going to lose a lot of eagles in the process, but, you know, does get the trebuchet. And castle coming up from CL. 2 towers coming up from TheMax. May be able to deny this. This is a really critical castle.
Yeah.
Eagle Warriors coming in from CL too.
Oh, it doesn't look good for TheMax.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for TheMax. Those towers will be very distracted with all the eagles running around, so TheMax will have to target fire those villagers. Castle's up on like 90%, almost. Might want to send some more villages here. Those are Inca villagers. Finally, we get to see that bonus in use, but those villagers are very tanky right now. And up goes the castle. So pretty devastating castle. That'll be a great place for CL to retreat to if ever he takes a bad engagement. And right now, I think it's got to be the resource game right now. TheMax and Villese, they have to be running out of gold. I see them. I see TheMax mining heavily 1 gold, but does not have access to the gold up and stone at the top. However, they are working on it with the trebuchet. If Tim can maybe take out a few trebuchets and keep this castle alive, that might be the game.
Again, some stone being sold and some gold transfer.
Trebuchet taking down the town center of TheMax. That'll be 1 less stone they have to work with.
Unfortunately, the threat that was attempting to take down the castle failed.
Yeah, it goes down, and those castles, both those castles will stay up. No more resources for TheMax and Villese. You need to have enough space on Nomad and enough resources. And what a play from the Chinese team, going all in aggressive, taking great map control, and really defending. It looked like for a second there, Villese with the slinger transition was going to be able to do it, but no. Great map control from the Chinese players.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep in mind they were playing so passively in the beginning, right? Walling themselves up, and we thought, okay, this will be a misplay, but it turned out that they went out really aggressively, and then from that point they kept on pushing. Really well done.